Pseudo class selectors give developers great control over what they select and style. By knowing how to use these selectors, you will not only improve the interactivity of your web pages, but you will also be able to add advanced styling without too much effort. These selectors are also often referred to as just pseudo classes. Previously, you were briefly introduced to the pseudo class invalid. Remember, pseudo classes are state-based selectors, which means that they allow you to select elements based on their state, for example, the hover state. You use pseudo class selectors to improve the interactivity of web pages by styling elements in response to user input. In this video, you will explore practical examples of how to do this. There are many types of pseudo classes. Other than the hover state, examples include selecting an element when it is active or in focus, or when a link has already been visited. Pseudo classes are also very effective to target specific elements such as, let's say, the fifth item in a list, bold items, empty elements, and so on. Let's review the general syntax that you use for various pseudo classes. You add the selector, a colon, the pseudo class, and then the properties. While there isn't a broadly accepted classification for pseudo classes, you can group them in terms of general similarities and their purpose. Let's explore a few of these general classifications. The first group you need to know about is user action states, which include the hover pseudo class, which changes the style of an element when a cursor hovers over it. The active pseudo class, which styles an element only while a user actively presses and holds the mouse button. And the focus pseudo class, which focuses styling on the element that you use it for. These pseudo classes have an effect while a user is actively engaging with a HTML element. Let's explore an example of how the hover and active pseudo classes can be used. Say you have a HTML file with an A tag inside a paragraph and a button element inside a div element. The paragraph element has a class defined as myPage, and the button class is defined as myButton. Now let's explore the CSS. First, it contains basic styling for the myPage and myButton class elements. Then, to make the link change its appearance when a user hovers over it, you use the hover pseudo class to target a tag. To change the myButton class, you use the active pseudo class. The active pseudo class changes the properties of an element when the state of that element is active. In this case, the styling properties will be applied only when a user presses and holds the mouse button. In this example, the pseudo class selectors target HTML elements, but you can also use them to target HTML class attributes. Next, let's focus on form states. Previously, when discussing form validation, you were introduced to the invalid pseudo class selector. But there are more pseudo classes that are specifically used for HTML forms. They usually come in pairs and target the different states that elements can have. Form state pseudo classes include disabled and enabled, generally used for buttons, checked and indeterminate, that are used for checkboxes, and valid and invalid, used in case of fields like emails and phone numbers. Another pseudo class type that you should know about is specific position-based states. They allow you to target specific items, for instance, a specific list item among the list elements. Some examples of this type include first of type, last of type, nth of type, and nth last of type. Let's explore an example of first of type. Say you have two list items in a HTML page, Adrian and Mario. With the first of type pseudo class, you can style the first item of its type while the remaining items will not be affected. In this video, you explored a few examples of how you can use pseudo classes to improve the interactivity of your web pages. There are plenty of other pseudo classes, and some of them are more popular than others. You're encouraged to follow your own style and explore the creative possibilities that pseudo classes offer.